This is my first watch. It was gifted to me in 1992 by my parents, and I've been passionate about watches ever since. Today, I'm going to share that watch collection for the first time ever, so join me for the 2022 State of the Collection. Welcome to the Watch Closet. I'm COE33, Co for short, and guys, I think it's safe to say that I'm cuckoo for watches. If you enjoy watch collecting content as much as I do, help me grow this channel and appease those algorithm overlords by subscribing and ever so gently polishing that like button. Before we get into the video, let's do a wristwatch check. I'm wearing the tried and true Timex Expedition. You know what they say, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking, but of course, best part, Indiglow, gotta love it. All right, starting things off, my childhood watches. So guys, I'm very fortunate to still have all the watches that I had as a kid, and it all started right here. I got this when I was 12 years old. It's a Doc Martens quartz watch. My parents went to London. They went to the Doc Martens store, and they bought this for me as a gift and brought it home. And this is what made me fall in love with watches. So this is where it all started, and now it doesn't work anymore. I need to get it serviced, and hopefully you can fix it. But what a cool watch. I actually really like this watch even now. And I have it on this aftermarket strap because the strap that it was on was all worn out. But yeah, super sentimental to still have the first watch. The one that started it all means a lot to me. It's priceless and it will always be in my collection. In 1997, I went to Hong Kong, and on my 16th birthday, I ended up picking up this watch. And yeah, just a novelty watch from Hong Kong. But look at this strap. Is that not such a, I mean, very 90s. Awesome colorway for a novelty quartz watch. Super cool. I wear this all the time as well, even though, you know, these old quartz watches, you know, they don't hold up very well, so they need a servicing. But I love it. Another absolute keeper in the collection. I'll never get rid of it. Sentimental to the max. Same with this watch here. This was my stepfather's watch. He saw that I was taking an interest in watches, and he ended up getting a Movado at the time. So he took his old Citizen that he used to wear to work, and he gave it to me. So another incredibly sentimental piece in my collection. Probably from the late 80s, a Citizen quartz watch. And yeah, it's a very important watch to me, and I'm very happy to still have that. And then I went to, where did I, this is the one that I probably know least about. I think I was gifted this. It's the Independent Film Channel. It was just a little like giveaway watch. I forget actually how I got this, but you know, I tend to hold on to these things, and I'm glad I did because I've been holding on to that for 30 years now. And then I went to Planet Hollywood in Costa Mesa as a kid, and this is, I think, my second watch after I got this piece. I think the second watch I ever bought was this Planet Hollywood watch, and I got this at the gift shop in Costa Mesa at Planet Hollywood, and I have it on one of these aftermarket straps as well. And yeah, really special. And these are the watches. Now, you know, these are just watches that I saw. You know, I didn't know a lot about watches when I was a kid, and I just knew that I liked them. So I would see a watch, and if it called to me and I liked it, I picked it up. So, you know, nice colorways, or if I'm visiting somewhere and traveling, I'd pick up the piece and add it to the collection. Moving on from my childhood watches to some of my vintage watches. Now, I have a lot more in the collection. I have, you know, I've been collecting for 30 years, so I have a lot of watches. But to streamline this video, I'm picking through and picking the ones that I think have some kind of importance that I want to share with you. So why don't we start right here? This is my 1981 Hamilton military issued field watch, and I wanted to get a birth year watch, so that's why I picked this up. I love Hamilton. It's one of my favorite brands, and I hope to get more watches from them over the time. I have it on this black leather bun strap, and it's a really cool, simple field watch, mechanical hand wind movement. And yeah, it's from 1981. It's got the writing on the back to signify that it is a Hamilton military issued watch. So really nice to have something from the US military. And then I have this fossil. This is a vintage fossil. I'm not sure what year it's from, but I really like it. And this is another watch. A lot of these watches need to be serviced, so you know, hopefully your OCD won't be going into overdrive if they're not all set and perfectly working. But yeah, you know, I've been holding on to these watches for a long time, and this one's never really been touched, so it's got, you know, all the signs of wear around the edges. But yeah, very cool fossil Star Master with little Breguet hand there, which is kind of nice. I like that quite a bit. And then my most meaningful vintage watch that I have in the collection is this right here. This was my great-grandfather's Lord Elgin. See if I can get to focus there for you guys. There we go. And this is from the early 50s. I actually have the complete set here with the box and the hang tag, and it's all filled out and dedicated to my great-grandfather. And so this has been in the family for 70 years now. So really proud to have this in my collection, and a very cool watch. I like it a lot. Look at the lugs. It's got these fancy lugs. The original strap is still on it, which is really amazing. It's actually, I feel like it's in really good shape for how old it is. I mean, 70 years. And it's got the running seconds hand down there. And yeah, very cool. I love it. And look at this box. What a nice box. And it's even got the paperwork in there. So yeah, pretty incredible to have this in such good shape all these years later. And then over here is a Stour, vintage Stour watch. And I actually got this at a garage sale for $5. And I have the box and the paperwork for this as well. And I just really liked it. It's got the Breguet hand, it's got the Roman numeral indices, it's got the, I guess you would, faux guilloche, I would suppose you would call that. And it's got the date window at 3 o'clock. And it's just a really handsome looking watch, and I put it on this nice deployment clasp leather strap there. So for $5, can't go wrong. From vintage to probably my favorite thing to collect, and that's microbrands. Here are a few of my favorite microbrands in the collection, starting with my Zelos. It's a Zelos swordfish. This is the Gen 1 bronze case meteorite dial, which I'm a sucker for meteorite dial. And Zelos, they just make a good watch. And I hope to pick up more of their watches in the future. But this has got the swordfish on the back there, the rubber strap, really beautiful dial, automatic movement. Just such a nice piece. One of my favorites. And then this is a microbrand out of Hawaii, Revolver. And they use revolvers as the design language. So they get all their design cues from revolver guns. And it's got that awesome chamber there on the dial. And just what a nice watch. It's got the brass case. But look at this case back. Look how nice that is. What a great watch. You're getting a lot of watch for the money. And just a really cool microbrand. I hope to get more of these as well because they got some cool designs. Over here is my Xeric. And talk about a funky watch brand. They've got some wild watches. And I saw this and I fell in love with it. This is the NASA limited edition. It's the Trappist 1. And this has got the supernova blue dial, automatic movement. And it's like you're looking through the cupola of a space station. And you got all the stars and they're all loomed and the planets. Kind of hard to tell time on it, but you know what? I don't care because I love it. What a cool watch. And look at that. It's got the eagle on the back there. I love the blue case. Really nice strap. Great watch. Again, microbrands, when you're talking like value, what you get for the money, hard to beat. And speaking of hard to beat, this Phoebos. Eagle ray compressor, burnt sunburst orange dial. Look how beautiful that is. This is by far one of my favorite watches. It's got the octopus there at the 12 o'clock. Automatic movement. Beautiful finishing. Really nice case back. Solid clasp and bracelet. Absolutely love this piece. Phoebos knocked it out of the park with their Eagle Ray compressor. Before we move on, I wanted to talk about the two clocks in my collection because they're very important to me and this channel. And that's my Cuckoo clock. Now, the whole reason this channel is named Cuckoo for Watches is because of this Cuckoo clock right here. So this Cuckoo clock lived at my grandmother's house from 1952 to 2021. It was on the same spot on the wall all those years, never moved. I grew up admiring this Cuckoo clock. It's the first time-telling device I can ever remember being interested by, seeing, and I remember having meals around the dining room table and very young, maybe 5 years old, seeing this Cuckoo clock, hearing it go off, seeing the little bird pop out, and being fascinated by it. So when I inherited this last year, I put it proudly on display with my watches. And when I thought of coming up with a YouTube channel to share my passion for watches with you guys, Cuckoo for Watches came to mind right off the bat because of that Cuckoo clock and my love of watches. And then moving up to the top right above my watches there is my Tiffany & Co. Atlas clock. I inherited that from my mother when she passed, and she got that in New York City, I believe in the late 80s. And she loved that clock. She loved anything Tiffany. Her favorite movie was Breakfast at Tiffany's. She loved the store Tiffany. Whenever she would go to New York City, she would go into the Tiffany & Co. store. And she was very proud of that little clock. So it sits proudly in my watch collection above all my watches there, and a super sentimental piece. Moving on to some of my name brand watches, starting with my Seiko Arnie. Now, as an 80s kid, I'm a massive fan of action movies, old school action movies. I watch them all the time. And of course, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. Movies like Predator and Commando, Raw Deal, all these great Terminator, all these great movies that I have a lot of nostalgia for and I love watching. So I grew up seeing this watch, and because Arnold wore this watch in a lot of his movies, including my favorite Predator, so I had to have this in the collection. What a cool watch. It's a beast. It's a giant watch, but I love it. I wear it all the time. One of my favorites. Gotta love the Seiko Arnie. Moving on to my Citizen. This is the Nighthawk. It's an Eco Drive watch. I got this for my 30th birthday. So I love watches that signify a moment in time or a milestone. A lot of my watches are like that. This is my 30th birthday watch. So I've had this watch for 12 years now. Look at what good condition it's still in. 12 years old. I mean, it doesn't look it, does it? This watch is such a good grab and go watch. It's always telling the right time. It's always set and easy to grab and go. I love it. Moving on to my Movado. Now this is the Movado Red Label. It's an automatic movement, and I picked up this watch for a very specific reason. So growing up, earlier I showed you that Citizen watch that my stepfather gave to me, and he gave it to me because he picked up a Movado museum watch to wear to work. And I remember seeing that watch, really loving it, and going to the department stores as a kid and seeing the Movado museum watches in the display case, and they were very expensive, not something that obviously I could afford as a kid, but I remember enjoying them, liking the design of them, so I always wanted to have one. So when it was time for me to, I was a little older and I could afford a nice watch, I wanted to get a Movado museum watch, but I didn't want to just get a standard quartz one. I wanted to see if they had an automatic variant. So I picked out this Red Label. You can see the automatic movement there. And I really like this watch. It wears great. I love the bracelet. I love the butterfly clasp. And such a clean design. One of my favorite watches in the collection, even though I know Movado gets a fair amount of grief from watch collectors, and that's all right. But I enjoy it, and that's all that really matters. Moving on, here is my latest watch. I just picked this one up. I did a review and unboxing on the channel. The Bulova Lunar Chronograph and the Lunar Pilot, excuse me. And of course, this is the watch that went to the moon. Dave Scott wore this, and a super important historic watch. And what a cool piece. I love it. I gave it a high rating when I did my review. It wears really well, and I've been rocking it all the time. So I'm looking forward to wearing this for many years to come. And then last but not least, a really important watch to me and in my collection. This is my Tag Heuer Grand Carrera Caliber 17. And I got this watch for a very specific reason. So on my 16th birthday, I went to Hong Kong, and I was actually gifted a very nice watch for my 16th birthday. It was a Tag Heuer Formula 1. And I loved that watch. I wore it everywhere I went. And unfortunately, in my early 20s, I was very strapped for cash, as a lot of people in their youth are. And I had to sell my Tag Heuer Formula 1. And I regretted it ever since. So as I got older and I started making a little bit of money, I knew I wanted to replace the watch, but I didn't want to just get a quartz Formula 1. So I went ahead and I looked through the Tag Heuer catalog, and I tried to find the nicest thing that really spoke to me, that I would enjoy for years to come and I would cherish. And I saw this Tag Heuer Grand Carrera, and I just fell in love with it. What a beautiful watch. The finishing on this piece is just absolutely stunning. I really like the design of it. Just all around great piece. And now, I have this. It signifies kind of a full circle as far as my journey with watches. And having this in my collection means a lot to me. And I'm never going to let it go. And although I would like to probably still get one of those quartz Formula 1s from the early 90s just to have it, and try to track down like the exact model that I had growing up that I got for my 16th birthday. But This watch is obviously a permanent part of the collection, and very cool piece from Tag Heuer. And with that, those are the watches in my collection, and that concludes the 2022 State of the Watch collection. I'll be sure to update you each year so that you can see the changes over time. Thank you for watching. I'm posting new videos every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can count on that. It's like clockwork. Follow me with my watch collecting adventures on Instagram at Cuckoo for Watches. I'm live streaming on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday. Follow me over there for wrist checks and retro gaming at COE33. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to check out this review that I did on the watch that went to the moon. And I'm not talking about the Omega Speedmaster. It's the Bulova Lunar Chronograph. Until next time, keep your watches wound and your sapphires polished.